Hi, welcome to our video lesson. This is lesson 1.1 and we're going to talk about using the order of operations to evaluate expressions and formulas. Let me set my pen here real quick. Make sure I'm on. Okay, here we go. These are the vocabulary words, part of them that you're going to find in Quizlet this week. Start early. Variables are letters that we use to represent an unknown quantity. Algebraic expression. These are mathematical expressions that contain at least one variable. X plus 2, xy minus 10. Those are all variable or algebraic expressions. Order of operations. These are the rules of the road for simplifying. In math, it's really important that you realize that you are simplifying to make easier, simpler mathematical expressions. We're going to first remove any parentheses, then we're going to remove exponents, then we're going to multiply and divide in the order that they appear from left to right, and then we're going to add and subtract in the order that they appear from left to right. So I'm going to put a little L2R. If you need to write left to right, you should do that. L2R, left to right. Evaluate. Notice that inside evaluate, you see the word value. Value. We're going to find the value. So we're plugging in numbers, pre-assigned numbers for specific variables, and then we're going to use the order of operations to simplify to find a value. And then a formula describes the relationship of two or more variables. Formulas are mathematical sentences with an equal sign. So let's take a peek at P, perimeter, equals 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. That is a formula. All right, here we go. All right, so when we're doing the order of operations, we have to follow a prescribed order. God is orderly, we're going to be orderly. The first thing we're going to look for is to simplify inside the parenthesis first. Simplify inside the parenthesis first. Then we're going to look and we're going to do exponents. Exponents second. Then we're going to multiply and divide in the order that they appear from left to right or in the order of occurrence. And then last, we're going to add and subtract in the order of occurrence from left to right. So let's give this a whirl. On your daily assignment that we'll do tomorrow in class, I want you to write the problem down. Write the problem down. Don't just plug in random numbers, okay? So my problem is written down, so I'm going to now plug in. M is 3. P is -4. And now I'm going to use my rules of the road to simplify this. I'm going to start by simplifying what is inside the parentheses first. And notice that I'm still going to have a parenthesis. All right? So I have 3 plus -5 squared minus 2. This set of parentheses right here, and right here is different than this set of parentheses. This one right here is telling you to square both the 5 and the negative. Negative times a negative is a positive. So we're going to do 3 plus 25 minus 2. All I did was apply this exponent right here. I applied the exponent. Now I'm going to multiply and divide from left to right. Do I have anything to multiply and divide? Nope. So it's not applicable. And then I'm going to add and subtract from left to right. So that means I add before I subtract. 3 plus 25 is 28 minus 2, and I get 26. All right, let's try these two. I'm going to plug in a 12 for M, and I'm going to plug in a -2 for Q. I'm going to simplify inside the parentheses first. So I get 12 plus 5 squared. Negative 3 minus negative 2. That's like negative 3 plus 2. Right? And then it's 12 plus 25. I have to do the exponent, and then I add. Notice that I don't go 12 plus 5 is 17 and square that. I do not do that. Okay? Number 2 is 12 divided by 2 times negative 2 plus 4. Notice that this negative 2, the parentheses here, are not around both 2's. It's just around that negative 2. So I have to do the division first. Okay? So it is 6 times negative 2 plus 4. Do I multiply or add first? I multiply first. And I get negative 12 plus 4. Now I add, I get negative 8. Remember that anytime during this process you can hit pause, go back, redo it. I want you to hit pause right now and work on this next problem. And I want you to pay attention to this right here. Okay? That 2q is inside parentheses. Means something different than what it did up at number 2. So I have 12 divided by, in parentheses, 2 times negative 2 plus 4. Notice that my parentheses are now around both of these things. Okay, so I have to multiply them together first. So I get 12 divided by negative 4 plus 4. I have to do division before I do addition. So that gives me negative 3 plus 4, and that gives me 1. That is my final answer. Okay, we're just going to keep doing extra problems. They're going to get a little bit more complicated. Again, tomorrow you're going to write down every problem. Okay, and then we're going to plug in. And then we're going to apply the order of operations. So I have to get rid of this first. This before the 2 squared. Okay? So I have 5 plus negative 3 squared times negative 8. Before I do multiplication, I have to do the squaring. So now I get 5 plus negative 3 squared is 9 times negative 8. Okay, these parentheses are different than grouping symbols, okay? That's just to keep the negative in check. Now I do lost my place there. Now I do a 5 plus negative 72, and now I add, which gives me negative 67. There's my final answer. Right, let's try this one. We're going to plug in negative 1 for J, 4 for H. Negative 1 plus 3 minus 4 is negative 1. Now I square that. That gives me positive 1, and then negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Okay? All right, now we're going to, I want you to notice in this one that we have a grouping division bar. That's this piece right here. We're going to keep our numerator, the top expression, separate from the bottom expression up until the very end. Okay, I'm going to plug in my values. So I have 8 times 5 times negative 2 plus negative 1 cubed. Notice that whenever I apply a power to a negative number, I always put parentheses around it. And then I have negative 2 squared plus 5. Okay. Now I don't have any parenthesis grouping symbols. This and this are exponents. So I'm going to apply those exponents, and I have 8 times 5 times negative 2 plus negative 1 over 4 plus 5. Now I'm going to do my multiplication, and I get 8 times 5 times negative 2, that's negative 80, plus negative 1 over 4 plus 5. And now I'm going to add and subtract, and I get negative 81 over 9. And now I divide negative 2. Go ahead and hit pause. Try this problem. Come back to see if you get it right. I'm going to go ahead and start. J squared, so j is negative 1 minus 3. H is 4, that has to be squared, and k is 0.5. And then j cubed is negative 1 cubed plus 2. Now I'm going to apply my exponents. I'll highlight those. I'm going to apply this, this, and this. And I get 1 minus 3 times 16 times 0.5. So sometimes it's hard to see the points and the multiplication. That's a point down there. All over negative 1 plus 2. So now in the top, I have to do multiplication first. So I have negative 1 minus 3 times 16 is 48. Half of 48 is 24. And negative 1 plus 2. And now I can add and subtract on the top, negative 23. Add or subtract on the bottom, 1. So I get negative 23 as my final answer. The last thing that we're going to talk about are formulas. The formula for volume of a rectangular prism is V equals length times width times height. Whenever they give you a formula, what do you think you should do? You should write that formula down. Then you should make note and plug in what the values are that they give you. They don't give us V. It says find the volume, so that's what we're looking for. If L is 4 times width, that's W, is 2, and height is 3.5. And when you multiply that together, you just get 28 feet cubed. All right, so these will be the problems that we're working on in class tomorrow. If you'd like to jumpstart, that's great. Make sure you hit Quizlet, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for listening.